My phone rang, and it was the Air Force One chief pilot, a good friend of mine, Colonel Mark Donnelly. And he said, Buzz, we have a problem. And I said, oh, what's the problem? He goes, well, on our way back from Europe tonight, President Clinton cornered one of my female flight attendants, which are also all Air Force, by the way, cornered one of my flight attendants in a galley and and like you can imagine my first reaction. I said, well, what does she want? And he said, well, she's staff sergeant in the Air Force. She's married. She just had a baby. She doesn't want to come out as, doesn't want to be on the Clinton hit list or be, another bimbo eruption is the words that he used. And I said, he said, all she wants, and she's sitting in front of me, is an apology from President Clinton. So as Josh is a young major, I had to walk down to the Oval Office the next morning at about 6:30 a.m. and confront President Clinton and tell him that I'd been called by the Air Force One pilot who works for President Clinton, as does the Air Force One crew, and say that he needed to apologize to this young lady that he had accosted on Air Force One. And Josh, he could have cared less. He just said, okay, I'll apologize. I'll apologize next time we're on Air Force One. So he did it. So I remember thinking, if that had been anybody in the military that had done that to another military female, we would not only be court-martialed, we'd be breaking big rocks into small rocks in Leavenworth. So we did arrange that on Air Force One about 2 weeks later, and she was on the crew, and I got them together. And I remember sitting right outside the president's office in Air Force One, and he said, "I'm sorry if I offended you." He didn't say, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it." He didn't anything. "I'm sorry if I offended you. You're dismissed." And I thought, oh man, this is the guy. So that's when I talk about no moral fiber. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. He thought he could get away with it, and he did yet again.
Wow.